So delighted to be able to welcome you in on this Monday as we begin a new week for you here on News Talk. Great to have you here today. We've got a fantastic lineup. There is a lot indeed going on in our world. We'll also talk about tomorrow's big primary in Maryland today here on the program. Key races set to be decided by voters in the Free State in the next 24 hours or so. But up first, a rough start to the year in Prince George's County. A teacher, her daughter, an undercover county police officer, and a firefighter checking on the welfare of a citizen. They have all been fatally shot. Family and colleagues struggling to make sense of what is happening right now. This is the first of many big topics we'll tackle today with Prince George's County Executive Rushern Baker. It's good to have you here.
Always good to be here, Bruce.
Sorry the news isn't better. Is this a run of bad luck? Is this a reflection of something systemically wrong in the county and in our world in terms of gun violence, gun access to guns? How are you focusing on this tough moment?
We're focused on access to guns. I mean, one of the things that we look at in the county, overall crime is down in Prince George's County, as has been in the last few years. The thing that we've seen is the number of homicides by guns. Maryland, passed a couple in 2013, we passed a significant gun legislation led by our Attorney General in Maryland. But what we find is that while Maryland has tough laws, the surrounding jurisdictions don't. And we're seeing guns coming into Maryland from other jurisdictions. Even if you take the case of Ja'Kai Colson, the individual that was actually shooting outside the police headquarters actually had brought his gun from Georgia to Prince George's County to Maryland. And so one of the things you've seen us do is try and tackle gun violence. And how do we make sure we get as many guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them?
Is this something that the candidates for president should be talking about as we pivot to the general and move toward November, or are we so polarized as a nation that the answers to this violence problem are going to have to come from other venues?
No, one of the reasons that we held a press conference last Friday was because of just that. We want to make sure, and I want to make sure, given the number of times we've seen this in Prince George's County, that this issue is front and center, not only with the presidential candidates, but also with those who are running for Congress and running for the Senate. This needs to be some national legislation dealing with it. We've got to do our part on the local level, but we also have to push these people at the national level.
Can you talk about the death of a firefighter following the call to check on the welfare of a citizen? What was he? Should that firefighter who lost his life in the line of work, in the line of serving others, been in such a vulnerable place? I mean, is that part of the danger that comes with the job, or did something happen there from a procedural standpoint that was not as it should have been? What sort of questions have you been asking, and what are you hearing?
Well, we're going to look at everything. One of the things we said right after the incident when John Olsnyder was killed was that we're going to look at not only our procedures, but also the state's attorneys looking into the legal matter there. But one of the things that we do know is this. When you call for a medic to come in and help, the last thing you would expect is somebody actually firing a gun. And so we're going to look at our procedures, but we're also, it brings back the whole point of having access, even though that person had a gun that was registered to them. We have too many incidents where people have guns out there that shouldn't have them. And how do we get those out of people's hands? Do
you know anything more about the incident that you can report to us over and above what was reported in the immediate aftermath of that incident?
Well, what I can say at this point is that the way that the firefighter, paramedic went into the house to check on this individual was appropriate. We've done that in cases before where they were with a family member, the person was unresponsive, and breaking into the door with a family member, going in there to check on somebody is not out of the ordinary. You don't expect gunfire to come in there. So from that standpoint, they did everything. That young man did everything he was supposed to do. He's a hero. And it's an unfortunate situation. What we have to make sure is we don't put, as best as we can, we don't put other people in that situation.
I want to shift gears, talk about news that we learned from the Washington Post over the weekend regarding a settlement that the county has entered into. Right. Involving a family, a settlement with a family where there was a sex abuse allegation, the victim a teen, the perpetrator a teacher, this happening on school grounds 5 years ago. Can you talk about the decision to enter a settlement with the family in question?
Well, the school system entered a settlement with the family. One of the things we can say is this, and I've said this to Dr. Maxwell and to the school system. You know what? We have to look at it from top to bottom and make sure that as soon as we know of any of these allegations or suspect them, that we do a thorough investigation. That's very important. You know, under no circumstances should anybody feel unsafe about sending their kids to our public school system. You know, that should not happen. And with the incident, the settlement that we see over the weekend that came out in the Post, but also what happened to the children at Sylvania Woods, one of the things that we're doing system-wide is looking at how we prevent these things from happening. And then when we suspect them, we thoroughly investigate and take it very, very seriously.
The allegation that was contained in the federal civil rights lawsuit filed by attorneys for the family, ultimately leading to this settlement, and I apologize, I can't find the language right here this second, but the allegation, not to say confirmed,
right,
but what the other side, the plaintiffs, I guess you would call them, were saying, is that the school in question had a long history of inappropriate conduct. I mean, apparently in this case, the teacher was engaging in sex with a 9th grader in the classroom.
I mean,
do we have a systemic failure to speak up, or are there secrets that shouldn't be secrets that are of a pervasive nature?
You know, the law is very clear that everyone has a duty to report, and they report to the police department, not just to the principal, not just to the superintendent, but to the police department. And so if you suspect this, what happens is they have teachers and workers in our school system have a duty to report. Once that happens, we have to do a thorough investigation. What we want to make sure, and this is what Dr. Maxwell and Dr. Eubanks are doing, and that is to make sure that you look at our procedures, you strengthen them where they're weak, but you make sure you emphasize to everyone in our buildings that you have a duty to report these things.
Are you confident that there's going to be more of a sense now to take information to the right people now than there might have been 6 months or 5 years ago?
Yeah, I'm very confident that will be the case for 2 reasons. One, you know, I know Dr. Maxwell and I know how seriously he takes these incidents, and I know Dr. Eubanks and how seriously he takes them. But more importantly, for me as county executive, what I've said to them, I want to know what procedures we're taking system-wide, not just in one individual school, not one individual incident, but system-wide. You know, because I have a responsibility to the people of Prince George's County to make sure we do this.
It's a variation of what we hear in the Homeland Security realm. If you see something or suspect something, you do in fact say something. Talking with Prince George's County Executive Rushern Baker here on News Talk. We'll pause a break here, but we're back with so much more right after this. That's all the time we have for now. If you missed any of today's conversation, full-hour video is available online at news8newstalk.com. Check out our Facebook page each morning to get a first look at our guest list, and for news throughout the day, follow us on Twitter. Tuesday at 11, an executive order from Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe gives 200,000 ex-felons the right to vote, a potential 2016 game changer. We'll have the latest. I'm Bruce DuPois. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.